We begin the Gemara today on Daf Ches Amud Aleph, about 7 lines from the top of the page, where it says Amamar. So we mentioned yesterday the halacha b'negei to Negoyim, that there are certain days that a Kohen does not see a Nega, which is a Chassan in the Sheva Brachas, or in a Yom Tif, and Chalamayid as well. You don't see the Negoyim. So the Gemara before brought a pasuk. So the Gemara is going to discuss this pasuk now. Mamar, it said before in the Braise, Yesh Yaim Shataraya Boy. There's a day that you see the Negoyim, and the Yesh Yaim Shiataraya Boy. And there's a day that you don't see it. What was the pasuk we brought before? The pasuk was Ubiyaim Heirois Boy, on the day that the Kohen will see this. So the Gemara now asks, My mashma, how do we see in that pasuk that it's coming to tell you that one day you do see and one day you don't see? It says Ubiyaim Heirois Boy, so it sounds like on the day, which would mean every day. So how do you know certain days not? Amar Abaye, because in Cain, if the Torah meant every day, lichtav rachmana b'yayim, it should say the word b'yayim without a vav. My ubayayim. Why does it say with a vav ubayayim, an extra vav? Shema mina yesh yayim shataraya by yesh yayim shiataraya by. So that extra vav is therefore a drasha to tell you not every day. Some days yes and some days not. Rava Amar, Rava says it's not just the vav. Kra Yiseiruhu. The entire pasuk ubayayim is the word bayayim is extra. Then Kain lichtav rachmano behirais. And when the nega is seen by the Kain, mayu bayayim. Why b'chlal does it have to say the entire word of bayayim? It's an extra word. So shma mina, from the word itself, I see that yesh yayim shataraya bay, yesh yayim shiataraya bay. There's a day the Kain sees the nega, a day that does not see the nega. Now the Gemara will explain there. According to Abaye, why did he darshan only from the vav? According to him, why didn't he darshan from the whole word bayayim? Isn't the whole word extra? For Abaye will answer you. Hahumi bayale, the word bayayim is not extra because he learns from there bayayim v'loy balayla, that the time that the kohen sees a nega is only during the day and not during the night. Yeah, the kohen has to be able to see the color of the nega and to measure to see what's going on. So he sees it by day and not by night, even if you can use a candle or any other light by night, but you don't. You have to see it dafka by day. According to Rava, and he said that the word bayayim is extra. So from where does he learn out this halacha? Bayayim v'le balayla minale, that the kohen sees the nega by day and not by night. From where does he learn that out? So the answer is nafkelei. He learns it from a different pasuk. It says meluchol mara einei kohen, that the kohen has to see the nega in a time when the kohen is able to see it. Mara einei kohen is mashma, that the kohen could naturally see it without adding any other light, because it's day. It's by day you can see the nega, right? So Abaye, not according to Abaye, why doesn't he learn it out from this pasuk? From B'chol Mara einei kohen, doesn't that show that it's by day? So he says no. From that pasuk you actually learn out yet another thing. Ahomi bayale, from that pasuk you learn out lemute sume ba'achas meinov. A kohen that's blind on one eye, he doesn't have his full vision, can't see a nega. Mara einei kohen, right? It says einei, the two eyes of the kohen, only he could see the nega. V'ravanami mibayale lahachi. Doesn't Rava also need this pasuk of l'chol mara einei kohen to learn out this halacha that a suma kohen that's blind with one eye can't see the nega? So the Gemara says, Enochanami, you're right, this pasuk of L'chol Mara Einei Kohen, Rava Taka needs to learn out from it that a kohen that's blind with one eye does not see the nega. Ve'ela bayayim v'aloy balayla minole. So if so, where does Rava learn out this halacha that a kohen sees it by day and not by night? So according to Rava, we said that from bayayim he learns out that there are certain days that a kohen can't see a nega, which is a yontif or a chassan. And from the Chol Mara Einei Kohen we learn out that a suma blind with one eye doesn't see the nega. Now we have a third halacha, that you could see the nega only by day and not by night. So where is there a third pasuk that Rava learns that out from? And says the Gemara, there's another pasuk. Nafkalei michanega nirali babayis. The pasuk says that a kohen, this is by nige batim, when a kohen sees a nega on a house, and it says in the pasuk, the kohen says, I see nega nira li babayis. That word li, what is it coming to say? Li v'loy la'oiri. I can see the nega naturally without adding any other light, which means that it's by day. So that word li teaches me this halacha. Abaye will answer you. So according to Abaye, don't we have this third pasuk here? So why doesn't he learn out from this third pasuk this halacha? If it would have just been only this pasuk of nega nirali, havamin, I would have said, Hanemili tomedalav gufe, the gufe. Or maybe only over there, the tumah and the bias, which is not the tumah that's on the body of a person. Over there, the kohen has to see it during the day. Avol tumah the gufe, but a tumah of a nega that's on the body of a person, afilu lo eirei nami. Maybe I would think that it has a different halacha. And there you can see, even with light that you have at night, the nega. The Gemara mentioned before, the tumah of batim has different halachas, has certain chidushim that is unique, and therefore you can't necessarily compare the nega of a body to the nega of a house. So you can't compare the two. Therefore, Kamash Malon, according to Abaye, you need the pasuk by Yoim to tell me that you could see the nega by day and not by night, even for the nega that's on the body of a person. Zok Heilige Mishnah, going back to the halachis of Chol HaMoed. Rab Meir said another halacha regarding Chol HaMoed, Melakit Adam, a person could collect atzmos aviv v'imay. If there are bones from a father or a mother that were not buried properly, and he wants to collect them to go and bury them, this is allowed to be done. This is a simcha for a person that is able to provide the proper burial for a father or a mother. Rabbi Yosi says, no, he's not allowed to do this, because Evel Hilai. This brings a person tsar. This activity brings a person tsar that he has to go and bury a father or mother. Another halacha, lo ya'erir adam al meisai. A person should not be ma'orer for a dead person. So Rashi says this is a month or two after a person passes away, so they would come and speak about the person that passed away, and sort of a hesped, to come and eulogize him, to arouse people to remember him and the tsar that was brought through this. It sounds like a concept of by a shloishim. Rashi says either by a shloishim or by 2 months. So this is the union of ya'orer, and also v'lo yaspidenu. And you shouldn't give a hesped. A hesped is done earlier than this, within 30 days of when the person passes away. Kaidim l'regel shloishim yom. So this should not be done within 30 days of the Yom Tif. Okay, so the hesped, Rashi says they would hire a special person to give a hesped for somebody that passed away. So both of these, ya'orer and yaspid, should not be done within 30 days of the Yom Tif. Talk to Gemara, Veraminu, I'll ask you a contradiction to what we learned in our Mishnah. Hamalaket atzmos aviv v'imai, a person that collects the bones of a father and a mother to bury them. Hareizem is abel aleim kol hayom. So the person has to have avelus. He has to behave with avelus the entire day. But ule erev eimis abel aleim. And then at night there's no avelus on this. So how could Rab Meir in the Mishnah say that there's a simcha involved in this? That there's a simcha for a person that is able to bury. Here it clearly says that he's supposed to have avelus when the person is collecting and burying bones of his father and mother.
Is on Chol HaMoed, or this Bryce is on Chol HaMoed?
No, lav dafke. But what you see from here though is that there's avelus. Rab Meir is saying that at the time when a person is zeicha to be able to go and give proper burial for a father and mother, it's a happy time for him. But over here you see it's not a happy time for the person. It's something that at least during the day you have to have avelus. One second. Let's see the pshara in the Gemara. 1 second. And Rav Chisda said about this, even if he's not mamish gathering it, it's just that he has it in a sadin, he has it in a sheet, and it's tied up, and he's bringing the bones of his father and mother to the right location to bury. Still, there's a halacha of avelos. The point is, yeah, you're right, this brayse is not talking about Chol HaMoed, but it's telling you what the person is obligated to behave. He's obligated to behave with avelos at a time when he's burying the bones of a father and mother. So if it's done during Chol HaMoed, it should also be a time that he's obligated to do avelus. What was the lashon that it said in our Mishnah? That burying the bones of a father and mother causes simcha. How could he say it causes simcha? It causes avelus. So the Gemara answers, Amar Abaye, Eimem ipnei shesimchas haregel olav. Rab Meir didn't mean to say that the actual burying of the bones of a father and mother causes simcha. The emphasis, you're right, it causes avelus. But what he's saying was, on Chol HaMoed, because he has the simcha of the Yom Tif on him at this time period, so therefore he's not going to have to act with avelus in this time. So when you learned the Mishnah B'Pashtus, it seemed like the Machlekes of Rav Meir and Rav Yosi was the act of going and burying these bones. What does it cause? Does it cause simcha or it causes avelus? So what the Gemara is answering is no, it definitely causes avelus. However, when it happens in a time of Cholamayid, so then because of this man of Cholamayid, which is the simcha of Yom Tov that he has upon him, specifically in this time period, he won't have the avelus because he's in a time of simcha of Yom Tov. Correct? So that's what it means. So therefore the simcha of the regel will not allow him to have the avelus. So the Gemara, what does this mean? So Rav said, when they would come and get this, they would hire this person to eulogize somebody in Eretz Yisrael. So Omri, they would say, Yifkun ame kol merire libe. Even though he was just eulogizing one person that passed away, so then they would, all other people that had someone that passed away, everyone would gather and come and they would say, everybody that has someone to mourn for someone that passed away should come and join this place, and where they're eulogizing, it should also express their anguish and the mourning with this person that's giving a hesped. Yeah, they would cry, yeah. So this is the this Indian of Yair, where a lot of people would gather together to express their anguish. So this should not be done within the Yom Tov in 30 days. Which?
Before Yom Tov.
We're talking about before Yom Tov here, yeah. What's the significance of 30 days? Amarav Kahana, Amarav Yuda, Amarav. The reason for 30 days is as follows. Because there was a story with a person, Shekinis Mois, he collected money, Lalas Leregel, to go and be Eile Regel to the Beis HaMikdash. What happened? Uba Saptan v'Amad al Pesach Beisai. A person that eulogizes people came and stood by his house, and V'natlasan Ishtoi, and his wife came and took this money, and she gave him the money, and she hired him to give a hesped for someone that passed away. So the money that was collected to go to B'Yele Regel instead was given to this person that was going to give a hesped now. And because of this, he was prevented. He didn't have the money to be able to travel and go to Eretz Yisrael, to the Beis HaMikdash. So it's at that time when they instituted, you shouldn't have someone eulogize or give a hesped before the Yom Tov for 30 days. That's one reason. This is the incident that happened.
Yeah, should have made it different. You say ask your husband first.
Before you spend money, you have to ask your husband what you do with the money. Shmuel Amar, but they knew that Gzeira is not going to last. It's not going to. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Lefisha Eina Meis Mishtakech Min Alev Shloishim Yom. Because if a person is going to make a hesped, so the mace does not get forgotten from your heart for 30 days. So you want to be able to have the proper simcha on Yom Tov, so don't bring up this hesped and the anguish of the person that passed away within 30 days of the Yom Tov. Shouldn't disturb your simchas Yom Tov. My beinayu, what's the difference between these two reasons? Ikke beinayu, the ka'aved bechinam. The difference is, this person that comes and you hire him to eulogize, does he do it only with pay or for free? If it's someone that does it for money, so then there's a concern that you might use money that you collected and put away to be Eile Regel. But if it's a person that does it for free, so then you don't have that concern. You can do it even within 30 days. But according to the second reason that we said here, doesn't matter. Within 30 days, you don't want to arouse this mourning in order that it shouldn't disturb your Simchas Yom Tov. Sagt der Heilige Mishnah, ein choifrin kuchen ve'kivrais b'mayit. You're not allowed to dig kuchen or kivrais. These are different types of burial spots, which the Gemara will explain the difference between them. So you're not allowed to dig these burial spots on Cholamayit. And here, the reason is not connected necessarily to the concept of Avelos, because it's going to disturb you Simchas Yom Tov, but it's actually, Rashi says, this is because there's a Tirche Yisera. There's an extra exertion involved in this. As we learned before, you're not allowed to do any work which is a Tirche Yisera on Cholamayit. Aval mechanchen es kuchen b'mayit. You are allowed to inaugurate kuchen on Cholamayit, this burial spot in Cholamayit. What exactly inaugurate means, as opposed to digging it, the Gemara will explain. You're also allowed to make a nivreches, which is a pool of water that's prepared for the people to do their laundry there. So you're allowed to prepare this pool, dig and prepare this pool of water on Cholamayit. And also, if you have an orain for a mace, you're allowed to make an orain for a mace in the courtyard. And that is, if the mace is with you over there in the chutzner. So then you're allowed to prepare the orain for the mace. And what Rashi explains over here is, it also means that the boards of wood, you're allowed to prepare the boards of wood, and you're allowed to build it and put together the coffin that's needed for this mace, if the mace is together with you over there in the chutzner. But if you're doing this work to prepare this coffin in a different chutzner where the mace is not there, so then people don't see that the work that you're doing it is for this purpose, to bury somebody. But it has to be only if the mace is together with you in the chutzner. And Rabbi Yehuda says that it's not allowed. If you have prepared boards of wood and you just have to put it together to make the coffin, then it's allowed. But to go and prepare these pieces of wood, that's not allowed. Huh? Yeah. Sagt the Gemara, my kuchen or my kivrais. It said in the Mishnah there's two types of burial spots. One is called kuchen and the other one is called kvaris. What's the difference between them? Rav Yehuda said, kuchen b'chafira. Kuchen is when you dig a burial spot in the ground. The kivrais is bibinyan. Kivrais is not burying someone in the ground, but you have a structure, and in that structure you're burying in the walls, not in the ground, but in the walls of the structure. Huh? Yeah, they made now. In Har HaMenuchos, the place became so full, so they created a spot that you bury in the walls. So that's the union of kvaris. So the Gemara Tanya Namiyachi, it says this in the Braisa as well. Elo en kuchen, velo en kvaris. Kuchen b'chafira. Kuchen is digging in the ground, and kivrais is bibinyan. And kivrais is in the wall of a structure. Avo mechanchen es kuchen. It said in the Mishnah that you inaugurate. You don't. Huh? Of course they bury in Chol HaMoed, correct. But here we're talking about the digging. That you're not allowed to dig the burial spot, a new burial spot on Chol HaMoed. Yid. So the Goyim dig it today. We're talking over about a Yid digging this caver, right? You're allowed to inaugurate this burial spot. What does this mean? What does the Mishnah mean when it says to inaugurate? If this burial spot, you're fixing it that it should be to the size of the person that you're burying there. If it was too long, you can shorten it to make space for someone else. And also, in the Braisa it says, Meirech boy or Marchav boy, you could lengthen it if necessary, or widen it if necessary. You don't dig the whole burial spot, but just to be able to inaugurate it, to be able to use it, that's allowed. Dr. Gemara, my nevreches, what is this nevreches? Rav Yehuda, zu bekia. On nevreches is a bekia, which is this pool that's used for laundry. But in a Braisa we learned that bekia is something else because it says nevreches ve'abekia. So you see that nevreches and bekia are not the same thing. They are both a pool of water that's used for laundry. One is larger and one is smaller. So nevreches and bekia are two expressions for the same exact thing. Just a matter of the size is the difference. Then it said in the Mishnah that you could make the coffin that's needed for a person to bury him if the mace is together with you in the chutzner. And again, the chiddush over here is not only that you're building the aron, but you're also even preparing the wood itself, the boards of wood. You don't have boards of wood prepared for this. And you're preparing the boards itself for the mace. That's only if the mace is with you in the chutzner. Tanin ela the Taner Rabbanon. So what we learned in the Mishnah it shows us this inyan that we learned more in detail in a Braisa. That says, Oisin kol tzarchei ha-meis, that on Chol HaMoed you could do everything you need for the burial of a mace. Geizes and loisarai, whether it's cutting hair, mechapsen loiksusai, to clean it, to wash his garments, which is the tachrichim, vaisen loiarein, and you also prepare for him the arein, menasrin hamanusarin, me'erev yomtiv. But then the Braisa says, the actual boards that are used for the coffin, that should be prepared from before yomtiv. Like it said in our Mishnah that the boards have to be prepared before Yom Tif, unless the mace is with you in the chutzner, then you're allowed to do it on Chol HaMoed. Rab Shimon Gamliel says, Af mevi'in eitzim u'menasron b'tzina. You could even bring the wood, the pieces of wood, and prepare them as boards for this arein, even on Chol HaMoed itself, but you do it b'tzina, b'toich beisai. It should be done privately in your house, not publicly. That this work that people see you doing, it shouldn't be open. It should be done privately. You don't make a chasana, you don't get married in Chol HaMoed. Like besulais, v'lei almanais, not whether it's a bsula, getting married for the first time, and not even an almana either. And v'lei miyavmim, and also not yibum, which is a woman that passed away, her husband passed away without any children, and now she has to get remarried to a brother, so this is yibum also. You would think that it's not such a great simcha, but it's also not allowed to be done in Chalamayid. Mipnei shesimcha iloi, because of the simcha of the chasana. So the Gemara will explain what's the problem with having a simcha in Chalamayid. Aval machsaru as grushasai. But if a person was married and he divorced his wife and he's getting remarried to her, so this is taken not such a great simcha, and this could be done in Chalamayid. And a woman could prepare her jewelry to adorn herself in Chalamayid. The Gemara will explain exactly what this is talking about. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo sasud, a woman should not put lime on her body. This is in order to remove hair, because this is something that is disgraceful for her. It removes the hair, but during the time when she has this lime on her body, it's disgraceful for her, so it's not to be done on Yantav and Chalamayid. Hahedyet toife kedarkai. A person, a hedyet, could do his sewing like the way he usually does. Va'uman machliv, and a person that has a profession, he's machliv. U'misargen es hamitais. So the we'll see in the Gemara. The Gemara explains exactly what this means. A machlev and misagnes hamitais. It's irregular stitch. Yeah, there's different kinds of stitches and the way they prepare this. And Rabbi Yosi memaschen. And Rabbi Yosi says mematchen, that you could stretch it out. Okay, we'll see more in the Gemara when we get to the taich of these things. The Gemara here starts now when we get to the simcha. What's the problem of making a chasana in Chalamayid? It's like the Gemara v'chi simcha hiloi ma'ava. If making a chasana is a simcha and Chalamayid, what's the problem? Adarabba. You should make a simcha only in a time of simcha, no? Some Rav Yudah Mashmuel, v'chein Amar Rabbi Elazar Amar Rabbi Yishiyeh, v'amri lo Amar Rabbi Elazar Amar Rabbi Chanina, lefi she'ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha. Because you don't mix one simcha with another. Each simcha deserves its own time separately to celebrate that simcha. You don't do the two together. The Gemara will soon bring a pasuk from where you see this concept of ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha. Taisus over here says that the concept of ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha, which is learned from a pasuk, is like the idea of ein oisem mitzvahs chavilas. You don't take mitzvahs and bundle a few mitzvahs together because it looks like you're trying to get over with it and therefore you're bundling them together. So the same thing also, each simcha deserves a separate time dedicated for that simcha. Rabbi Baravona, there's a different reason. Person that gets married in Yantif, so he's not celebrating anymore the simcha of Yantif. He leaves the simcha of Yantif, and instead, his simcha is the simcha with his wife, not the simcha of Yantif. So it actually detracts from the simcha of Yantif. Amalei Abai Rav Yosef. So Abai said to Rav Yosef regarding this reason, this reason that the Rabbi Baravona just said, the Rav. This is really Rav is the one that said this. From where do we know that you don't get married in Chalamayid? That you should be, the simcha should be with the yantiv. The Torah says the simcha should be with the yantiv and not the simcha with your wife. It's two different simchas. It takes away from the simcha of yantiv. A third reason, the reason you don't make a simcha, a chasana on yantiv and Chalamayid is because of all the preparations that are involved in this. The tirche, and this tirche takes away from, you're not supposed to have this extra tirche on Chalamayid. Right? When you make a chasana, all the preparations, everything involved, is an extra tirche that's not allowed. The reason is because this is going to be mevatel people from getting married and fulfilling the mitzvah of piri v'ribya. And Rashi explains what this means is, people are going to say, I can make a chasana and Chalamayid, perfect idea. Why do I have to spend money for the meals and the food that I need for Yantif and Chalamayid? And then separately spend money for a chasana and a regular weekday. Let me just have them both together, and on Yantif I anyways have to prepare food and I'll make my chasana and Chalamayid. So everybody's going to delay their chasanas to Chalamayid. So this is going to be mevatel, the mitzvah of piri v'ribya, of making chasanas all year round. So therefore they made a takana not to make a chasana and Chalamayid. So we have various different reasons here, which the Gemara is going to discuss. Some reasons seem to be minat Torah, the pasuk of b'chagecha v'loi b'ishtecha, and the union of ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha, that minat Torah you shouldn't make a chasana and Chalamayid. And other reasons are a takana midrabanan, that the chacham were misake not to make the chasana and Chalamayid.